What are those
Elaborate.
reasons?
So let's get into Nestor and Jamo first. I think those are obviously the two most similar. Like, these guys have had very productive years up until this point. And I mean, we were talking about Nestor being like our ace starting in the All-Star game like 2 weeks ago. And yes, he's had 3 games that weren't amazing. I know he's not Garrett Cole, so we can't just be like, oh, you know, he has 3 games, but he's still Garrett Cole, or he's still like, he doesn't have that caliber to really say that. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, he's done way too much positive things for us recently that I cannot get behind him just being terrible the rest of the year.
Can I ask this question?
Sure can.
So the stats in terms of just innings pitched versus earned runs look very similar. When you dive a little bit into, I mean, everything looks pretty similar. When you compare Tyone to Nestor,
yeah.
If I could ask the group, who, if any, I mean, not if any, who are you more worried about in terms of just who are you more worried about? This is a very simple question. Nestor Cortez or Jameson Tyone? These are both from the last 4.
Nestor.
I was a Nestor.
He doesn't have the innings. He doesn't in his career have the innings load that he is throwing now. I think mix the, one, people seeing him, obviously. He's starting to see these teams 2-3 times in a season. And 2, naturally fatigue and stuff like that. He's never thrown this volume before. So I think he'll be fine. I think that he's obviously going to come back down to earth. He's not going to win a Cy Young, but I think the potential is still there to be a high-end mid-rotation arm at the worst. Like, I think that he's going to be fine. I really do. I just don't. I think that it was fun to ride the wave while it was happening, but I don't think that ace Nestor Cortez is a thing. And I honestly think, I guess this could be a good segue, not permanently because you guys need to go, but I think that this could be something to look at once, all these rumors are coming out that the Yankees are really looking hard to add a bona fide, top end arm at the deadline and push all the chips in. And I think that if they do, that conversation of Nestor being pushed back to maybe not necessarily a full-time bullpen role, but a long reliever that's throwing 3 or 4 innings could be back on the table if you go out and get a Luis Castillo or a Frankie Montas.
I don't want Castillo. I know that rumor was floating
I don't either.
around.
I really don't like
that. I don't. He hasn't been good for 2 or 3 years. So his name's always floating around in the rumor mill. He doesn't get the pants moving. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but going back to Nestor, I feel like we've been riding the wave for a while. I'm not going to say that he's completely gone back down to earth. I mean, it's only been 3 games. I'm still going to give him the benefit of the doubt to get back on it. His pitching style is very unique, and he like thrives on these like awkward deliveries, making the hitter guess, and doing these like quirky things that people really haven't seen before. And because of that, it takes a little bit longer for these hitters to adjust to it. And I feel like they saw him last year, they're seeing him this year, and it's getting to the point where they're seeing him for a couple more times, and they're getting used to his delivery, they're getting used to the quirkiness, and people are starting to figure it out. And
what do you think the odds are that Nestor turns into a pumpkin?
10%, maybe.
I can't sit here and lie and say that I'm not worried about it.
I'm gonna say like,
because at the end of the day,
15%.
I've been shocked every time he goes out there and he twirls a gem, and I no matter how long he's been doing it for, I know he's been doing it for like a year and a half at this point. I'm still gonna be shocked every time, and when things like the recent 4 games happen, I'm not shocked by it, and I don't know if he'll ever prove that to me. Which I guess I'll always have that, and maybe it's because he's Nestor Cortez and he doesn't have the pedigree. Maybe it's because he's just a short guy who throws slow. Like
that's the thing. But that's the thing.
Though. It's bubble
like
gum everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's just a funny dude.
But because he only throws 92, and if he has an off day control wise, he's fucked. Yeah. They're just hanging pitches. They're getting on him.
Exactly. So
and there's no way. Yeah, you need to be on.
The MLB can have ridiculously bad stuff, but you still might miss bats because they're still swinging at it. So
like Garrett Cole can have an off day.
Even on a bad day, you might miss bats.
Yeah.
Nestor Cortez on a bad day, He has to be perfect. That's the thing. He has to always be perfect.
Yeah.
And he can't always be perfect.
Yeah, and it's tough.
Much
So
like life.
that's why it's deep, man. But yeah,
Well, if with Damon,
yeah. Go ahead, Murph.
Damon, and I had the same concerns you did, and I was going to actually bring the same thing up about the funky delivery and that sort of thing. And if maybe these teams we're seeing a couple times are starting to get to him. Good news is if what Chandler said happens and we bring in, I also think Frankie Montas over Luis Castillo. But if we bring in either of them and put Nestor in that role, the goal there would be to sort of mitigate that and let him be the funky guy here and there and only have to see the order one time.
Yeah.
And hopefully that would adjust if that's the case, but who knows?
Yeah. And then going back to Jamo a little bit, the guy's been around for a little bit longer than Nestor. He's more of a, for lack of better words, traditional type of kind of pitcher. And I feel like he's more of a, we know what we're going to get out of him, and we're never really expecting way too much out of the guy. And if he goes out there and does his job each day, then I'm happy. And I feel like we were kind of just blinded by the Nestor situation where he was throwing potential no-hitters through 7 innings 3 or 4 times this year already. And then he goes out there and has a decent game or a below-average game. We're all freaking out. So I think we're kind of blinded by that a little bit, blinded by the start of, he had like a 1 ERA. It's tough to kind of just, go back and look at everything and be like, oh, he's falling apart.
Another question.
Another answer.
Is the Nestor Cy Young bid completely off the table?
No, I mean, not technically, but
no, in your eyes.
I don't think it's
going to happen.
I don't think it's changed for me. I think I'm still in the same.
You never thought it could happen?
I always thought it could, but I never thought it was likely. I still don't think it's likely. I thought it would take just something incredible, and I still think that it's not like
the percentage chance that he can actually make it happen.
10-15%.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening.
No, it's not going. It never was.
Well, the more
he would need to be
was the
completely
All-Star game
lights out,
but that's not happening either.
Yeah, well, for the All-Star game, he would have only needed to have 2 or 3 more dominant starts to win a Cy Young. He needed 17.
It's pretty bad timing for him to get on the All-Star bump. McClanahan's
good,
pretty unbelievable.
For him to even be in the conversation for Cy Young, he would need to be that like May form for the entire year. I just don't see that happening.
He's not going to do that.
On McClanahan, continue.
Oh, did you see that list he was a part of? It was like innings pitched, ERA, and strikeouts list in MLB history. It was like Jose Fernandez, Jacob deGrom, Shane McClanahan, and like 2 others. I was like, this is fucking ridiculous, man. He's good. He scares me